my dear.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Um, I'm really excited about some things that I feel like I've, I don't know, discovered or kind of had some aha moments in the last week, and been talking to my team a lot. And as I was talking to Nicole about it, she was like, "I'd really like for you to share this with the bigger team." And so, um, you guys know that I'm always very transparent, and I try to be really open about whatever you know is going on. And honestly, I think the last like week or last weekend just had a hard I don't know, just having to find a different way to do some things that I've always done. And I feel like when you hit a roadblock, whatever that may be for you, or when you kind of have a minute where you're like, what am I doing? Like, it's not working. It's not going forward. Like, that's why we named this, sometimes you have to break down in order to break through. And I've had a couple of people on my team that we've kind of coined that phrase. Sometimes you just kind of have to break down all the walls, look at what you're doing and say, so much of this isn't working, and then figure out how to move forward from there. So in doing that and kind of having that realization that I was going to have to do some things a little bit different than I have always been doing them. I've kind of figured out some new things, and I just wanted to share them with you because it's really shifted my approach to reaching out to people, and it's really shifted my perspective in this whole Plexus business. So my husband says something. He is a principal of an elementary school, and he's also a professor to college students that are aspiring to be principals. And he teaches them on Wednesday nights. And he said that there is a quote that he says from somebody that he used to know. And it says, "Your system is perfectly designed for the results that you're getting." And if you kind of write that down and think about it, that really spoke to me. And he laughed because he's like, "Really? That's what spoke to you?" But I mean, if you think about it, your system is perfectly designed for the results that you're getting. So in thinking about that in my own situation, over the last 2 years, and maybe some of you can relate to this, but I've had such incredible life-changing results from the products that has always been how I've presented Plexus to people, is by telling them about the products and what it has done for me in my life. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, but in really shifting my perspective and thinking about how am I going to get the residual income? How am I going to make this business, excuse me, continue to make me money while I'm sleeping, like we talk about. And just selling products is never going to provide that security. So I think we have to take a step back and look at this as the business that it is. We get paid a certain amount of money on the products that we sell, but that is not a guarantee. You guys know your PV is up, it's down, it's all over the place. It's never a guaranteed thing. So essentially every month, you're kind of starting all over again. That's a traditional sales job. The beauty of what we do is that when you start to build a business and you duplicate what you're doing, this business continues to roll and it continues to build. So in coming from it from a real product, overly product focused perspective, I was only ever going to get to a certain point. So I have had to shift and think, how can I actually really build this strong business that continues to grow while I'm sleeping, while I'm playing with my kids, while the dream, right? So a few things have kind of come to my mind, and I've had some real aha moments. And you guys, whether you're meditating or you're taking a bath or you're doing something that fills your soul and allows that kind of portal between you and spirit, you and God to open up. For me, it's listening to the Lumineers station on Pandora. I don't know why that music just gets to me, but when I'm listening to that music, I am literally, the ideas are just flowing, and I will literally pause and I will leave someone a message, and they're the most heartfelt messages that I have ever left. For whatever reason, that activity, and so I do it while I'm getting ready, while I'm taking a shower, sometimes while I'm driving into work. It's my quiet time, and it's sort of a meditation for me. So I encourage you guys to maybe to find something that when you do that, if it's complete silence in the morning before your kids wake up, or it's music, or it's, drawing or coloring or something that really just, you feel like those creative juices are flowing. Find something, because that has been such an outlet for me. Sometimes it's when I'm on the treadmill and I'm listening to that music and I have to stop. Like, I always have to keep a little notepad right next to me. So here's where I've gone with this, because I feel like sometimes I have all these ideas and I don't know what to do with them. So I went to Jacqueline Stanley, who we've had her on our team call before. She's a diamond here in Kansas City. She's a wonderful person. She and Emily Fennell are the two diamonds in Kansas City right now. And I've somewhat of a relationship with her, and sometimes I'll just shoot her a question and I'll ask her, and she's so sweet to get back to me. She doesn't have to, but I asked her, I said, if I had just joined your team and I wanted to fast track this bitch, that's literally what I said to her. I said, what advice would you give me? What would you tell me to do? And her exact advice was, I said, how did you in the beginning build as fast as you did and get into momentum like you did? And she said, I can actually read you guys exactly what she told me, because I think it's powerful to hear exactly the words that were said. Okay, so she said, I would suggest differently than I did it. I had very little success with my reach outs early on, and I relied heavily on my Facebook posts. 100% lead with the business with every single person. This was different for me. I was kind of flipping and flopping and going back and forth between product and business, depending on the person. She said, you can always fall back on the products. If you lead with the products, you have nothing to fall back on. So I've heard that before, but I think in asking that direct question to her, it was an aha moment for me. She said, they need to have an idea of the income as well. You need to get as many in-person appointments as you can and literally show them your paycheck when you were silver and now. Always try to determine what drives them, color, personality, and appeal to that. So from there, I kind of dug in, and I started looking at how can well, first of all, I reflected on something that John Maxwell said at Leaders Retreat, and that was, you're not looking for a lot, you're looking for a few. And that really helped me too, because I think in the beginning, you're just thinking warm bodies, get people in, get people in, get people in, see what sticks. You're essentially throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And there's something to be said for that. You want to get your PV up. You want to build a little team, and you never know who is going to decide to sell. But I think that as you grow, you have to be a lot more intentional than that. And so I have started going through my Facebook list, and I have or my Facebook friends, and I have a list right behind our screen here. And it is what I think is that Frank's list. And you guys, in total transparency, again, for whatever reason, for the last 2 years, I have not made a Frank's list. I have a total block when it comes to putting 100 names on a list. I don't know why, but I've never made one. And so for me, I feel like I need to do it in bite-sized pieces, and I need to have a list of 20 or 25 that I'm working with all at one time, and then I can kind of revise that and take the people from that I'm actively talking to and then add people to it. So that's just my strategy. I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but I mean, seriously, when they said make a list of 100 people, I was like, hold on now, like seriously, nope, I don't know why. But I do think that the lists are really important because it allows you to stay organized and not let people fall through the cracks, which I am so totally guilty of as well. So I have really thought about the people that I've put on this list. And again, find what it is, that if it's that total silence or it's music or something, as you're making this list, I feel like that those creative juices are flowing for me. And I'm thinking the place in these people's lives where they are. So it's people that I have had contact with. It's not somebody that I've not talked to in 20 years, which I'm still reaching out to those people, and I'm sending the really easy message. I'm sure you see my posts. Have you tried it? But I think that we have to dig into these relationships and to these people. So I'll tell you, there's the example that I have that I overcame a huge fear this week. There's a family in Kansas City that the guy is a friend of mine from high school. I was actually really good friends with his sister. And I was friends with him through theater, and, we knew each other, and I mean, we had some fun. They're hilarious, the two of them. But he married this wonderful woman, and he is a pastor in inner city Kansas City, and he gets no pay for his job. He is purely a servant in this pastoral position in this congregation in inner city. His wife is a fitness instructor at Prairie Life Center and teaches classes. They had 3 beautiful kids. He was driving the kids to school one day, and he was hit by another car. And all 3 of the children and him were taken to the hospital. His oldest daughter passed away pretty quickly. She never came back. They resuscitated her twice, but she never was able to get any brain activity again. So she passed away. She was 8. And his son walked away with a broken arm. He walked away with some minor cuts and bruises and things. But his youngest daughter, Hope, was paralyzed from the waist down, had spinal injuries, among other things. She was hit in a way that her teeth dislodged and went into her lungs, causing lung problems. It's been a huge thing. And you guys may have seen, I've posted their GoFundMe on my page a couple of times, and they've raised an insane amount of donations over the last couple of months since this happened. But their little girl, Hope, was not making enough progress here in Kansas City to be able to continue to be treated at Children's Mercy. So they transferred her to a children's hospital where she would be able to get ongoing therapy in Baltimore. So his family has been displaced to Baltimore, where they can be with Hope and watch her continue to improve. But it had really, really been on my heart, but scared me to death to think that I might reach out to this family and have it be that they think I'm trying to prey on them in a difficult time in their life. And so a lot of what I'm talking about has led up to this kind of shift in perspective for me, because I went into their headspace and I thought, if it were me, and I did not have a salary from the position that I was doing, but I felt like I was doing what I was called to do. If my wife was our sole income, and she is now in Baltimore and not able to teach classes. So I went there and I thought, this business could be such an answer to prayer for them. They could literally do it from Hope's hospital bed in a city where they don't know anyone and where neither of them has an income. These donations are only going to last them for so long before they have to think about how they're going to continue to support themselves. So there were a lot of things that I really got in that headspace, and I left a voice message on Facebook. I don't have his phone number, but I said, I'm terrified to leave you this message for fear that you would think that it was coming from anywhere but the most sincere part of my soul. You guys have been in my thoughts and prayers. I mean, and I went there and I painted that picture for him. And I just said, I just feel like this could be such an answer to prayer. Your wife already has the interest in health and wellness. It would be a natural blending. It would be an opportunity for you to continue to serve, to help people, restore their health and be able to live more abundant lives. That's what pastors do. And so I felt like, honestly, I was just a vessel for this message. And it felt so different, you guys. Like, I didn't feel sheepish. I mean, I was nervous to leave the message only because of the magnitude of situation that they've been dealing with. But I wasn't nervous I didn't feel squeamish or icky or anything about presenting the business opportunity to them. And that's an issue that I've really had over the last couple of years in leading with the business specifically, was feeling feeling like I was trying to get somebody to do me a favor by joining my team. And I just don't, that's not it at all. So I just encourage you guys to think about it from that direction, to think about where somebody is coming from and completely take your agenda and your hopes out of it and make it totally 100% about them and how this could be an answer to prayer for them. And if it's not for them, that's okay. But if it is for them, and I even said to him, I stopped my video. Oops. I said, if you know somebody, better than me that's doing Plexus, I encourage you to look at the business opportunity with Plexus. Of course, I would love to be the one that walks with you in this journey, but if it's not me, I'm fine with that. But I truly think that this could be an amazing opportunity. So I could see that he listened to all, of course, it was like 5 1-minute messages because, it's just that. But I could tell that he had listened to all of them and he didn't respond. And to me, that meant he didn't have a knee-jerk reaction of saying, no, thank you. So I was encouraged by that. Not that I expected him to jump in and say yes right away, but I could tell that he was thinking about it. And then he took a funny video of his son dancing and tagged me on it. So I knew he wasn't mad at me. And I was like, hey, 2 really good signs. And then I took it a step farther because I went to this thing. I spoke with Jacqueline and Emily this last week at the One Plexus Kansas City happy hour that they had. And I was really curious to find out how those two go about, like Emily Fennell moved into her brand new neighborhood and had 2 neighbors go fast track gold within the first month of her moving there. And I was like, how the fuck did you do that? Like, and I talked to the people, like I'm like, what did she do? How did she approach you? And she said that Emily had come over, and this all does tie in, I promise, but just to give you an idea of how I got here. But so she said that Emily came over and like kind of infiltrated their group at this, like they were having a block party or a wine party or something. And she went in and she just introduced herself and said hi. Plexus had brought her back to Kansas City. She was super excited to get to know everyone. And then individually, she reached out to those people. She had gotten all their phone numbers and added them all on Facebook. And she individually reached out to them and said, if I brought you a pink drink, would you try it? And each of them said, sure. So she went over to each of their houses, took them a sample of the pink drink, and she showed them her paychecks. She literally put her paychecks on their like island and was like, this is the money I make. You need to do this with me. And literally all of her neighbors were like, okay, where do I sign? So, I mean, I know that she's a diamond and that income is insane. And that would spark anyone's interest. So that got me to thinking, okay, so I need to be a little bit more bold in going to people and just talking turkey, like saying, this is what's on the line. You need to do this with me. And so I had the idea because I'm not at a point where my paycheck is like, holy crap, but I was like, what if I take my paycheck, my highest paycheck that I've ever gotten from Plexus, if I take Nicole's highest paycheck that she's ever gotten from Plexus, and I asked Jen Hawkins to give me her highest paychecks from her 2 teams. So I gathered that information. I will totally share it with you guys, and you may absolutely use it in your recruiting. But I sent that to like the 5 people that I genuinely heartfelt reached out to this last week. Got in their headspace, got in their business, and said, you need to do this with me, or at least think about it. And then as a follow-up to that message, I sent them all those paychecks. And I said, I just want you to see specifics and what I'm talking about here, and that these are my friends, and these are the people that I know that are coaching me in growing my business. This is truly an opportunity. I've said things like, I love that you don't give 2 shits what people think of you, and that's a big part of this business. You need to just do your own thing. I love that you look at opportunity and not a job. I love that you think outside the box. That's everything this is, So that's some of the verbiage that I used. And so I sent those paychecks to my friend Jason, the pastor. And he hadn't responded for my initial messages, but he responded and said, that is crazy. And he said, how is your business going? And it opened the door, and we're talking. We're having that conversation. Will he join me? I don't know. But I feel like I went to a place that I had never gone before, with vulnerability, with putting it out there, with talking in specifics. And the other thing is I'm starting to really ask for those face-to-face meetings. Can we meet for coffee? If this is for you, great. If it's not, I just miss you. Let's hang out, you know? And so I really wanted to encourage you guys to, number one, figure out how it is that you get your mojo just flowing, where you feel good and you have ideas and you're thinking about people. Number two, get in their headspace. If you have someone that you've been really nervous to talk to, I challenge you to go there. And to really, tell them, I'm scared to say this to you. This is a really hard part of what I do, but I'm working at it. Be gentle. Sometimes I say that and then people will be like, that's hilarious. Like, okay, totally get it, you know, but it levels that playing field. And I just think the more real that you are, the more honest that you are in putting yourself out there and trying to really see where they're coming from. Are they working 2 jobs? Are they back at work, but they don't want to be? They're stay at home, you know, they want to be home or have more flexibility with their kids, whatever. You know, we've talked about all of this, but really go there. What are they feeling? And asking questions. I'm reading John Maxwell's questions that good leaders ask. And you guys, it's so not about us. It is so not about having a script. It is so not about having all of the answers or the ingredients or anything memorized. You guys, our job is to go out there and to talk to people and to ask them questions. What are their dreams? What are their hopes? Are they happy? Do they love their job? What are their kids up to? Like asking those probing questions that just get them thinking. Because you guys, if the road leads back to plexus, that's going to be such a deeper passion that they have. Because they've, number one, gotten there themselves. You didn't have to convince them or try to like bribe them to come on board. You guys, it's just a completely, I don't know why I've just had this whole shift in perspective. So I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I mean, the recruiting, the paychecks was a huge one, I think. One of the things that I found really interesting was that Emily Finnell reached out to Jacqueline Stanley 27 times before she said yes. 27. I mean, that's insane. So Kay and I have been talking and she's like, what the hell did she say to her 27 times? And I'm like, well, it wasn't like join Plexus, come with me. It was like, hey, you know, it was those touches every once in a while where you're like, hey, we have a 7-day challenge going on. Hey, I've got a deal. Corporate's running on, you know, the joining special. Hey, how are your kids? You know? So it was, I mean, it is just, it's keeping in touch with those people just as a person, as a, you know, I see this for you and I'll wait, you know, and a lot of times I'll say I'm never pushing, but I'm always saving you a seat next to me on this ride. And you guys are welcome to use that too. I feel like that goes over really well, that I'm never going to push, but I'm always hoping that you'll come with me. And I get really good responses, honest and genuine responses from people that, you know, I'm so flattered that you think of me and that you think that highly of me, that I could do what you do. And most of the time it's a not right now. And so you just have to remember, have a system for keeping track of where these people are in their lives. Because at some point they will come back and they will join you. It really is very interesting, but you just have to be patient. And our team of helpers is working a longer game here because it's not, you know, just everyone. We're looking for a few. So, yeah, that's really what I had, Nicole. I hope that helps. Did I miss anything that we've been talking about?
No, I don't think so. I always write notes, but I love that you said that you were a vessel for this message. I mean, I think that, and I'm kind of the same with you. And I think a lot of our team, like I fell in love with these products. And so that is what was familiar with me to talk about the products. And I didn't realize, I mean, until you were kind of talking to me about what you were planning on doing and how it was working for you. I think when you find a person that you genuinely, I mean, this comes to the deep-rooted relationships. Like these conversations are people that you know and love you, and, you know, or you know that this opportunity could help them. Like I have an example of my friend Amy, who I have literally reached out to. I don't know, kind of what you're saying with Emily. I look and it's like 11 times in Messenger. And there was one time, I think in the 9th message, she had never answered. And so, but she didn't say no. And I wasn't pushing. I just knew that like she always posted about how she was always in pain, chronic pain. And on the 10th message, she wrote me and said, "Thanks for not giving up on me." So that was like, okay, like that's awesome. Like, I'm so glad that she's receptive, but she's never committed to having a conversation. She's never committed to going to a sip and see until the other night we were messaging and I got the courage, and she actually kind of sparked the conversation from her end. She was writing about the products and saying that, I don't know, we were just talking about some different things. And she wrote, she put a crying face emoji and she put, "Bye-bye to the days of stay-at-home mom, have to go back to work, we can't make ends meet." And so I looked at that message and I was like, okay, like this is seriously the time where it is time to tell her about the opportunity, about the gift, about what we have. And so I've never talked to her about that before. And I said in the message, I said, what if I told you that I had something that could allow you to not only continue staying at home, but that could change possibly the financial path of your family's future? And so I sent her my kind of what you said, and I had that information with me, Ruth, because from you, I sent her my highest paycheck stub. And I also sent her the income disclosure sheet, which I don't think we share enough, and I think that we need to. And she wrote back and said, "I don't have the words. You've really got me thinking." And she's committed to come to our next sip and tea, which is by her house. And I think it just speaks volumes of like, it's really scary and uncomfortable to put it out there. And sometimes we're like, we have no idea what to say about the business opportunity. I don't think that you have to necessarily say something about the business opportunity. I think that you have to come from a place of saying that you have, like, this is something that could possibly, I mean, when you say the word possibly, you're not like trying to pinpoint them. You're saying that could possibly change their life. And I think that, it doesn't matter, kind of like we always say to share about the products even before you have a health testimony, because you know about these products, people that have been helped about the products. Well, when you have the business opportunity, you might not have the largest paycheck in Plexus, but it doesn't matter. You know other people that have had success and you know where you're headed. So you can talk about what it's done for other people. You can share that diamond documentary, but you can also just kind of like what Ruth said, get into their headspace and say, and you're coming from a genuine place. And I think when it just turns into a conversation rather than it being like we've probably all gotten that generic cut and paste message from someone in network marketing, which puts a bad rep on network marketing and you don't want to respond. But when you have somebody, like if I was that pastor, like what Ruth said, coming from a genuine place and putting it out there saying like, I'm terrified to talk to you. Like, I am terrified to say this because I don't want you to think that I'm coming from that's going to catch my attention. That's going to be something that's going to stand apart versus anything else. And I think that kind of, it goes back to the vessel for the message. No one would have any idea what type of income and how this could change the path for families. No one would have a clue. I certainly didn't. I didn't understand that. And other people don't at all. So I think with what you're saying, like I wrote down, lead with your heart. I wrote down crickets, and that's don't get hung up on the crickets unless they flat out say, no, not for me. That's fine. It doesn't, that's totally fine. You go for the no, but the crickets mean that they are absolutely taking you seriously, thinking about what you're saying. And it could be 6 months before they get back to you, or they might not get back to you in a year. It's one of those things though, but you've put yourself out there. And I was telling Ruth this the other day, you can be emotionally attached to what you're saying. Like you can have all the emotion in the world and send it out and be like, okay, I just did that. But then you can also emotionally unattach after you've sent that out to say, I've put it out there. It's there. I've said everything I wanted to say, and I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with the fact if they come to me, and I'm okay with the fact if they never do, because you know that you can say in your mind, like, I tried and I've been here, and I guarantee you if something happens in that family's future later on, maybe they will think of you. And so I I love the topic of this call because I just think it's so awkward and scary and vulnerable and, you know, on all different parts, but it's more than just leading with the business. It's leading with your heart and finding the people in your network that this is going to be different than your, you know, like what Ruth was saying, like your Frank's list. This list is going to be different. These are going to be people. If you think about the people who you know that struggle every single day, that are on food stamps, that are working like crazy and they don't see each other and they're not spending time as a family. I mean, I'm confident that we all know a few people like that. Why not? Like, why not put it out there? And if you're scared to do it, let them know that you're scared to do it, because you don't want them to think that you're coming from a place that's not genuine. So those are some of the specifics.
Well, I had two other quick things that I meant to add.
Yeah.
That is that, you guys, I had always heard ask for referrals. And I never really had tried that or knew what that meant really. And so I've been asking people, here's the, like, how I've been doing it. Business, if they say no thank you, or they say not right now, go to products. If they're, you know, I invite them to our next 7-day challenge. If you want to try out the pink drink, or if they want me to send them a sample, happy to do that. If they say, yeah, send me a sample, or no, and then say, who do you know that I should know? Who do you know that is like you? If I can't have you, then tell me who I should have, you know, somebody that is, and get a clear picture of who the person is that you're looking for. I think that was another really helpful thing that John Maxwell said, is once you get a clear picture of who you're looking for, it becomes a lot easier for you to go find them. They're not looking for you. It's not the hunter mentality, don't get me wrong. But it is that you are looking for a person that is motivated, that thinks outside the box, that is, a self-starter. So, I mean, it really, really helps. And so I'm finding that people are really excited and eager to help connect me with people that they think would be a good fit for it, which is so interesting to me. Even if somebody's been resistant in the past to me, or, you know, whatever, they are like, oh, I know somebody that you should totally connect with. And they're connecting me on Facebook with them. And I'm like, hey, we have a mutual friend, you know? So, that's another way to widen your net and to really get, you know, your network to continue to grow, is asking for those referrals. And just as a side note, you guys, I was talking to Jen a couple days ago, and she was saying, you know, you guys need to be finding anyone that you know in Canada. You know, obviously we have Karen on our team, but if you guys have any other ties to people in Canada, you guys, it will be the equivalent of getting in when Jen and Celeste did. That is how huge this launch in Canada is going to be. So just put that in your little hopper and start thinking, if you know somebody or a friend of a friend, you know, and even just anyone there, say, who should I be talking to there? Like, I have literally thought, Nicole, this is what I called you about the other day. I have literally thought about going to Canada for 2 weeks and going to every gym, every church, every like MOPS group, like anything that I can find, and telling them about this opportunity, because it's going to be enormous. I want a piece of that. I want to have a tie to that, because it's going to be so exciting. So start talking to people, like anybody. Be like, hey, do you know anyone in Canada? It's like such a weird question. And people are like, yeah, my brother's friend lives in Canada. Do you think they'd be interested in talking to me about a really, really amazing opportunity? Totally ground floor. It's so funny. People are like, yeah. It's just a completely different conversation than, because Plexus is here already. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be a brand new opportunity over there. We've shipped to Canada, but we've never had a Canadian home office. It's going to be huge. So that was one thing. The other thing I was going to tell you is that Nicole really inspired me this week, because she was looking on Facebook, and a friend of hers said, I am 104% tired all the time. And I think you private messaged her and said, what's your address? I'm coming over with a pink drink. And the gal sent her address, and Nicole took one over to her. And I was like, that is the kind of bold that we need, you know? And so this gal posted today on Facebook that she is really struggling with migraines, and everyone gave her, I scrolled through the comments. There was not one thing about Plexus. And I don't know her very well, but I private messaged her and I said, I'm telling you that with migraines, stabilizing your blood sugars is key. And I said, and this is all natural plant-based stuff with 0 negative side effects. What's your address? I'll bring you a couple samples. And she was like, oh my gosh, really? So I took them over to her. I mean, you guys, I just feel like that's the kind of grassroots type of outreach and boldness that we need a little bit more of. So that's really all I had to say, but I just feel like it's kind of been a jam-packed week. My head is spinning. But I hope that all of you maybe had an aha moment tonight, and maybe will think a little differently about, how you present our opportunity, because the growth in the business is where that freedom is really going to come for all of us. And I do think that we have to keep that as kind of our top priority. And I even say to people, you know what, the products are awesome, but honestly, as much as a difference as they have made in my life, that's just a bonus to the opportunity that we have, with the business. So
no, I think that's amazing. And I think that if any of you guys start having those conversations or can think about, I challenge you like tonight to think about 3 to 5 people. Have that be the small step, 3 to 5 people that that could truly benefit from this gift that you have, even outside of the products. I mean, kind of what Ruth said, the products are a bonus, but the first objection that you might hear, like when I've presented that before to a dear friend of mine, and the first thing that she says is, I can't sell. And you know what I respond with? I say, I can't either. And that's great, because that's not what I do. I share it. I share, and if you use that terminology, we're just the vessels for the message. We're the hope dealers. Like we're the people. It's already there. We're just putting it out there to the public. And when you find people that are possibly interested and you don't know what to do with them, like if they're like, okay, I'd love to talk to you. If you already all of a sudden say like, oh my gosh, I have no idea now what to say, bring we will help you together. You're not, and it can be scary. You're not in this alone, especially if you've never led with the opportunity before. I mean, I like to tell people, I'm like, if somebody has a love for people and Wi-Fi, they're golden. That's it. That's all they need. But when it comes to the opportunity, I mean, that's, what it is. It's $34.95 and you get a welcome pack of products. But outside of that, let me tell you how you do this. And all it does is start with one post. And so, yeah, they have a love for people. They start sharing. So if you find yourself having those conversations and having that list and you don't know what to do or where to start, bring me in, bring Ruth in, bring any of us in together, and we'll definitely help guide you and give you advice. But I think when you start having those conversations from the heart, and when you're writing down those 3 names or those 5 names of people that that need this so much, it's going to probably come a little bit more natural than it would be saying, like sending a message to someone that you went to high school with 25 years ago, 20 years ago, So I challenge you to think about that.
I mean, there's a place for that too.
Yeah, absolutely. This doesn't, please continue, sending those messages. Have you ever tried it? That's going to generate excitement about the products, but we want you to start putting your mind and thinking about the excitement for what this business can do. I mean, and I would say a huge percentage, 95% of us, we're here starting for the products. And you never thought in a million years, I bet, that you'd be on one of these Zoom calls ever. And I didn't. And I think like Tara was the first person that ever, for me, and she's under Erica, but for me, we all know each other from college. That was the very first person. She's like, the products sound awesome, but talk to me more about this opportunity. So somebody like Tara and Kay, they're the minds who saw this opportunity immediately. They'd be really good to go to and say what drew you in? What was it that you saw that really woke you up and said, okay, I got to do this. So we have people on our team like that. And we also have people that found this unexpectedly. So don't think that the people that you're still sharing about the products with won't find their way to this part as well, because they can. And if they don't, then they don't. And that's the beautiful thing about it. There's no pressure ever, but it is something that we have that we can give. So Ruth, thank you. Seriously.
Well, so one of the things that Jen said the other day to me that really has kind of been on replay in my mind is that it's our job to offer the opportunity. It's their job to answer the call. And I thought that was a really concise way to think about it. It's my job to put it out there and to offer it to you. It's your job to answer the call if it's right. It's very simple that way. And I know for Kay, and really for me too, when I was looking at from the business perspective, the money was a big thing for me. I am very money motivated, and it's not a superficial thing. It's purely for stability for my family and the future. And so that was a big deal to me. And I will share those paychecks. Nicole, if you're comfortable with that, I'll send yours as well. And I already screenshotted them and highlighted the amounts. And I have like an explanation of Jen's. Her largest portion is her primary leg. And then the second is, the smaller amount is her second leg, but she's getting a weekly business building bonus somewhere between $1,000 to $1,500 a week. And that's just from her stuff. And then Cody, of course, is an Emerald. Is he Emerald? Or is
he's
Okay. So he's pulling in about Nicole's, monthly income on top of all of that. So it'll give you guys a good picture. And it is a wow factor for sure. And for you to be able to say, this is somebody that is a friend of ours and she's our coach. So anyway, it's been received extremely well. And I think it's a really awesome recruiting tool for us to have.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody have any questions for Ruth, or anybody know, like offhand, got your list already going of who you think that could use this?
I just have to say, as we've been going, I messaged literally 3 people, and I know Ruth. Ruth and I had a conversation at a Chick-fil-A yesterday, and and I kind of broke down with her, and I was like, I feel like I have just been letting myself down and letting my team down and everything like that. And she's like, don't worry about it. You let yourself go. And then here I am, and I'm like, I am messaging 3 people. I have been listening to this group. I've been taking notes. I have been doing so. Yes, I have been messaging people with this, and I have not been doing what Ruth told me to, which is taking breaks. So I apologize, Ruth.
I'm proud of you. You got to take it.
Awesome, Sarah.
When he hits you got to run with it. So.
But I'm probably not going to do anything else this week. So
you have my blessing.
Anybody else?
Hey, super great call, Ruth. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. You guys, I love you so much. And, Nicole and I want to do whatever we can when we have these aha moments to help you guys get there quicker. I'm like, listen, I did 2 years of shit that I don't know, I wouldn't tell anybody to do, but now I feel like we've got it pretty much figured out. So we want to help you guys get there 2 years faster than we did.
Mm-hmm. Hey, where were you gonna post those checks at? I missed that.
Where would be the best?
You know what? Do you want to do it? Well, I can underneath the team call after I post it. You can, or else in the event page, wherever you'd like to do, or on the leaders page. I mean,
well, I was thinking the leaders page. It might be one of those everybody kind of goes back there.
Yep. I think that's perfect.
I would say that, it would probably not be something to post publicly, just on your Facebook wall. But
right.
I know Sarah has got a group that she posts to, and so she posted it in there, I think, didn't you? Or you talked about it in your post, I guess. But I've been sending them all privately. And I think that and I posted one time before, hey, if you want to know what a diamonds, or a double diamonds paycheck looks like. But then I got literally 300 Plexus people just super curious. And that was such a waste of my time. So I would not do that. I would just send it privately to these special people that you're really got your eye on that you could see this for.
Yeah. And I was going to say, don't discredit your own. I did a video earlier this week that said, either, you're making a paycheck, and whether it's $25, $100, $1,000, that can be a difference for a family. But it's good to have those tiers to show them, this is the growth that you can expect once you start coming in and, sharing about these things. So but yeah, don't feel like if you're a silver, if you're don't feel like you don't have enough to share, because you're getting income that people are not getting, and people would absolutely, that would change so much. They might be able to, pay for things that they're struggling with or that they can't afford right now. So that's really important to note. Don't.
I do think it's important to include your own, whatever it is. I think putting yours, and then putting, whoever your direct upline is, and then and Jen's is just a great, they can just see the trajectory then of, you know, the earning potential. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Anybody have anything else? Nope. All right. Thanks for logging on, you guys. We've got a good group tonight.
Thanks, Ruth. Great job, guys.
Thanks
everyone. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.